Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Final Cast with your dubious hosts, Matt.
Woo! And Brad.
Too much energy for me, Brad, but I'll take it.
I'm trying to get you in a better mood.
I'm in a fine mood. I'm just
Oh.
tired, man. My back hurts, and I
I'm
just
tired,
want
too.
to fish and not go to work tomorrow. And
I hear you. I'd rather do that too.
It sounds way better, doesn't it?
It does. Which, I went fishing this past weekend, and caught a bunch of fish on the spinnerbait. The river was up. It was moving a little quicker, and the water it wasn't muddy or anything. It was just like a stained, maybe a foot visibility.
Yeah.
But I threw the disco lemonade spinnerbait and caught a ton of fish. And it's funny because I hit the area that Justin likes to hit from the bank, his little secret spot.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was sitting right on top of it. I took a picture. I was like, dude, somebody's fishing your spot. He said, go tip over their kayak.
You should have. Commit murder.
Well,
fishing spots are worth it.
Yeah. Well, I come to find out, I get up to this guy. Guess who it was?
Dole.
Ryan Dole.
Yeah, I knew it. It's always Ryan Dole.
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny. I told Justin that. He was like, "Oh, that's funny."
But, I mean, the dude knows about the spot. It's Ryan
he knows
Dole.
about every spot.
I'll say he knows all the spots.
Yep. So
Lord.
Whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't get out this weekend, man. I had one of those weekends where I just really didn't want to do anything. I slept in Sunday for like the first day. I've been getting up every day at like 4, going to work and whatnot. So I just wanted to sleep in. So I did, and I slept in, and then that became not like wanting to move at all. So that's what happened.
I've never had. I've had those days before, but they don't happen very often. Like, for me to not go fishing when I have time to go fishing, that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, I mean they're fewer and far between for me, but dude, I was just getting worn down. But I'll be out Sunday, so
yeah. Let me see. I don't know. Oh, we can fish after the demo day. We got a demo day coming up Saturday. Well, never mind. It'll be long gone by the time we
air this.
So
yeah. So it's going to be great for everyone who's listening to this now. I'm sure we're going to have a fun time, even though it's supposed to rain in the morning a little bit, but we'll see.
But anyway, if you want to fish afterward, like me, you can. If Mike shows up, we can all hit the river or something.
We could just hit Loveland down there, do that stretch we want to do.
We could.
Although we'll have
it's the Little Miami River.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're either going to catch dinks or drum, but yeah, screw it.
It's whatever. But anyway, it's May, so you know what that means. We got the Darkhorse Tackle unboxing on this episode. And this box, I literally just opened this box a little bit ago, and I was like, holy crap, this thing's packed this month. Seems like
so did I.
Got a lot more stuff this month than usual.
Yeah, I got home and I didn't open the box, and I told my wife, because she loves opening these boxes, and I was like, go ahead and really? Yeah, she loves it. And then she'll get the card and she'll be like, okay, so this month we have, and then she'll like have me guess the pricing.
That's awesome.
But yeah, this box was like, she kept pulling stuff out, and I even said after like the fourth one, I was like, how many are left? She's like, a couple. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So
pretty crazy.
Oh yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I was about to say, I'll just jump into it. One thing that's tried and true, and I love, and I'll never not be happy when I get them, are jerk shads.
Oh,
and dude. From Bass Reaper Bait Co., we got some jerk shads. Oh Lord, excuse me. It's called the Morbid Minnow.
5-inch.
Yep, the 5-inch jerk shad, which is, it's a soft plastic jerk bait. And I love these things. I love throwing them. I mean, because you can throw these. These are my summer jerk bait. This is how I get away with throwing jerk baits year round, is because I'll throw these in summer, and it is essentially a jerk bait, and it's awesome. They get bit all the time. Don't really have a scent to them, but I would probably guess that they're going to float. It's really nice is they have two built-in. Obviously you have your underbelly opens up to where you can throw a weighted hook in there if you wanted to or something.
Yep.
And then it's got a hook notch in the top, so you don't actually have to T-pose it in the plastic. You can just put it right in that notch.
Yeah,
So
that is nice.
It gets you a little bit better hookups because you're not having to rip through the plastic and saves the plastic.
That's not something you see Zoom doing or anything either, like that little top notch. I like that.
No, the Fluke from Zoom has pretty much been the exact same mold forever.
Yeah.
But this top notch is nice. It's got the fork tail, which I typically love the fork tails more because they have a little bit more tail action. They'll get a little bit more erratic. But yeah, I mean, this is good any time of the year, especially coming into spring and summer. This thing's going to kill, and you get this whole pack. Like I always love to say, it comes in actual packs, not like sample sizes. But you get 6 Flukes for $4.99.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
That's not bad. What color did you get?
I got like Morbid real shad. So it's just
that's what I got.
Natural. Yeah, perfect natural color. Gives you that, that shad silver on the bottom with that black on top. That's
there's like a gold stripe down the middle of mine too.
Yep. It's got, I see it now that I'm actually really looking at it. It's almost like a chartreuse fade line. But yeah, man, this is a nationwide killer. I don't care if you're in California, Delaware, Florida, the Everglades, Brazil. This will catch them all.
Yeah. So I recently got into Flukes last year. Well, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And then last year was I started catching more fish with it because I got better with it. But I can't wait to use that. That's awesome. Like I've never been a big like brand specific guy when it comes to Flukes. I've always used Zoom or like the Strike King caffeine shads, or I mean, this is gonna be just as good as the Zoom Super Fluke, in my opinion. I mean,
oh, for sure. I think this and the Fluke will be identical. I will say it's very hard for me in the Fluke series, and obviously I haven't fished these yet, so I'll try them. But I love the caffeine shads because they have a little bit more weight to them.
Yeah, they're heavy.
And they skip awesome.
Yeah.
To where you, especially on the river, there's 2 stretches of the river that me and Brad already know. I've never asked him, but I know for a fact he throws Flukes on this section where the trees completely overgrow and you can't get underneath them except for this little gap. And I flick spooks up or spooks. I've tried that. I lost like 3 walking baits doing that, so that sucks. But I'll flick a Fluke right up underneath it, or a caffeine shad rather, and I just get hammered every time I do that because they just sit underneath that overgrowth.
Yeah.
Dude, it's awesome. So that's why I love the caffeine shad. Yeah,
I think I know what stretch you're talking about because I actually did a video of me skipping a Fluke under those trees before. And it was just like,
you sent the video to me, and I was like, "Hey, I do the same thing in the same spot and catch probably the same fish." So
probably, I don't know. Fluke became like a staple last year for me. So I in the summertime, if the water's clear, I'm throwing the Fluke.
Oh yeah, easy.
Well,
all right,
I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go with this Madmouth Bass Bait Company. We have a living rubber image football jig. That was kind of weird to read, but I got like a 3/8 ounce, and the skirt is black and brown and chartreuse, and the head is brown with black dots all over it. And what I got to say about this, the head looks very similar to a Jig Masters football jig head.
Yeah, it
has
does
that
for
flat
sure.
bottom to it.
It's almost like a stand-up football.
Yeah, it's a little bit wider, and it comes to more of a point than the Jig Masters one does, but it definitely has that flat side like a Jig Masters jig does. But
yeah,
Madmouth Bass
it's almost like a sled jig, like a sled football, to where, because like if you try to stand it up on its own, the angle of it doesn't want it to stand up. But
yeah, it's
I feel like
sharp angle.
It'd be perfect to like really drag across the bottom and bump into stuff because it's got to keep it deflected up. Because if you look at the actual bait, the angle goes like up, so it's got to want to skip all the way up and not really, want to just stand straight up or flip over. It's going to want to drag perfect. So especially over rocks and stuff, I think it's going to be really good. I got the same jig, the sled football head. I got it in black and blue. I got a 1/2 ounce.
See,
And I mean,
I like those heavier football jigs. I got 3/8.
yeah, if I'm throwing a football jig, I'm throwing a 1/2 ounce. Pretty much every jig I own, I have nothing lighter than a 1/2 ounce, other than like my finesse jigs, all 1/4 ounce, obviously. But if I'm
Well,
throwing a meaty jig, I want a 1/2 ounce. That's all I want to throw.
if I'm fishing a football jig, I'm fishing it deep, and it's at least 3/4.
No,
A
yeah.
lot of the times I throw 3/4, an ounce, or an ounce and a quarter, depending on how deep I'm fishing. Like at Dale Hollow last year, we were throwing ounce and a quarters down to 40
Yeah,
feet of water.
this year I caught that one fish in 25 foot and I was throwing an ounce. Big
Yeah.
old giant jig with a big old giant 4.5 inch or 4 1/4 inch Nico Helgermite on the back of it, and he got smashed.
Yeah, the only jig fish I caught all weekend this year was that one on that 3/4 Jig Masters.
Mm-hmm.
But this still serves its purpose. Like you could throw that shallow, I mean, it's not a flipping jig, it's a football jig. So you want to find like rocky areas and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's all based on terrain, and you can really throw a 1/2 ounce or even a 3/4 ounce, or a 3/8, excuse me, in deeper water because it goes down the water column slower. So that's actually if I'm noticing the fish are really suspending and they're not off the bottom, especially let's say 30 foot of water and they're suspending at 20, that 3/4, not 3/4, 3/8 or 1/2 ounce goes down a little bit slower in the water column instead of just shooting right by them. And they have a little chance. You'll get a lot of your bites whenever I do that. I get them right when it hits the bottom. So it's going, and that's typically right when it's hitting the bottom. That fish is following it down, and it's able to keep up with it. It doesn't just shoot by. He's able to look at it. Looks like a fleeing prey fish or crawl or whatever it is, whatever your trailer is.
Yeah.
And they just hammer it right when it hits the bottom. So, I mean, everything has its place.
Yep. I was gonna say that too. Like they probably followed it all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I love fishing the jig, man. Like
I do too. It's like my favorite.
They could give me a jig in every box, and I'd be like, heck yeah, dude.
Well, the last, I think, 3 boxes, we've got jigs in every box.
Yeah, I'm for it. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, and it's not the joy of jigs is they're kind of like flukes, man. You could throw them year round. You will get bit. I know guys who will only throw a jig in the winter. They won't throw anything else. It is jig or die. So
I've never tried it in the wintertime, but
it works.
I believe it does.
So next, since we did the jig, we'll just go right into the trailer that it came with. We got from Prodigy Custom Lures. It is the Pulse 4-inch crawl. I got it in black and red, but I actually kind of do like this color. I got it trailered on the back of this right now. That red gives it a little bit of pop on the back side, but it's a very bright red on the rear, on the underbelly, and then very just black with some red flake on the top. 4-inch bait, so you can run this or Texas rig, pegged or weedless if you want to.
Tokyo rig.
A little bit of scent. Tokyo rig would be money. Because it has these appendages, quite a few. The antennae on the front, plus the long appendages. I mean, they like to move a lot. They'll go everywhere.
Yeah, so those long appendages. Those are unique. I've never seen something like that.
Yeah, it's almost like a crawl creature bait mix. It's not really like a pure crawl.
Yeah,
but it definitely do some work, especially right now in this season. Wherever you're at in the country, you either have fish that are pre-spawn, spawning, or just going post-spawn, wanting to eat everything in the world. But throwing this up shallow and walking it back to you off drop-offs, I think it'd get hammered.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember the 4-inch javelins that we got in a box a few months back.
Yeah,
they look similar to these, except with different look appendages.
Yeah, a little bit. The appendages were long, a little bit different shape, obviously, than what we're rocking with right here. But yeah, it looks similar, and I feel like the industry is kind of going to that now. Some companies like Megabass came out with the sleeper crawl, and some companies are still doing like hyper realistic crawls. But a lot of companies I see that are coming out with new plastics, new soft plastics, are going to more like the creature route, to where, which I'm not upset at, because you can throw. Like if fish are never had the forage for crawl, they're not really like I found. I mean, they'll eat it, but they're probably just eating it because like, oh, that's new, let's eat it. But they're not like actively foraging for it, because it's not a forage species. But if you throw a creature, something like this in, I mean, that could look like a plethora of things that are in their forage. You could swim it and make it look like a bait fish. You could run out the bottom. Maybe it looks like a big old fat helgermite or a big water bug or something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it really kind of opens up the ways to use it in that creature form.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. I've never really thrown them by themselves, but I'm sure I will eventually. Like Texas rig it or something. I need to do that. I know guys that catch them like that, but it is what it is. Let's see here.
It is what it is.
We did we didn't do the spinnerbait.
Nope, which I was hoping you'd go to because I already have it out.
I'm a big spinnerbait guy. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that. It was my most used lure last year. And
I can see it.
This thing's pretty cool. So it has Indiana or two Indiana? No, not Indiana blades. Colorado. 2 Colorado blades. One big one, one small one. The big one's gold. The small one's silver. So I like the two different color blades. I'm never like, unless I'm fishing muddy water, I'm using painted blades. But if I'm fishing clear water, I want one color of each blade. I don't like both silver or both gold. They have to be one mix match.
Yeah.
But this one's cool though. It has a cool looking eye on it. The head is painted cool, and the wire tie, the copper line wire tie that we always talk about when we're talking about spinner baits, it comes with that. I really like that a lot.
Let me see your wire tie.
Oh, if I can get it in here. Just the copper.
Yeah.
Copper line.
Yeah, so mine's a little bit different than yours. So a different color. This is actually one of my favorite colors, where it's like that chartreuse shad.
Oh, man.
And then I've got a Colorado and a willow, which is my preferred setup. Different blade colors, just like his was, where the larger willow blades in silver, and then the Colorados in gold. And I mean, this is I love when spinner baits, because it's not always spinner baits. A lot of companies like to make the actual lure side of it, the hook side of it, the same length as the blade side, which, I mean, I can understand why, but I love when the hook side is a little bit shorter than the blade wire, for the simple fact that while this is going, this really pushes this farther out, so it makes this the most likely target to hit your actual, that makes sense, like, hook. Which I found jig masters are like that too, which that first fish, that 18-inch I got, he was just Munchy McMunchy, because he fit the whole spinnerbait in his mouth.
Oh, yeah.
And bit down. But then after that, I was noticing, because the blades on the jig masters are a little bit higher, I was noticing, I watched 2 fish actually eat it, because we had about a foot visibility that day, which was surprising with how fast and much water we had. And I was watching them come up from underneath and smacking it, instead of like coming from the top. And the second one I watched come here, and then, for everyone not watching, it's above the bait. And I watched him swoop down and up to hit that lower bait. It was pretty cool. I mean, that day we didn't catch a ton of fish, but man, all the ones I watched eat were awesome, because I really got to see him. This thing swimming and going crazy up top, and it came up top and went underneath, and then came back up and hit the lower bait, because it was a little bit farther up in the bait ball of what spinner baits are designed to do.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love when spinner baits do that. I'm a fan.
Dude, that spinnerbait reminds me of the Blue Rock custom tackle that I had. That I like. It's the white on top, the chartreuse on the bottom. I love that colorway.
Yeah, I love white and chartreuse, period. It doesn't have to be, like, for me, it doesn't have to be in this colorway. I mean, I like this. I love the chartreuse at the very bottom of the skirt, and it kind of morphs up into white in the shad. But like the Jig Masters was half chartreuse skirt, half white skirt, and that thing just murdered. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's sweet. Well, you got another one now, so that's cool. And I got a color that, like, I've never really thrown, so maybe I need to experiment a little bit. This one's like silver, white, and purple.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, which it's gonna work in the river. I've messed with like purples and stuff like that. and it's worked. But
Oh, I'm sure it'll get bit. I wouldn't be too worried about it.
yeah.
So next we have. I was gonna leave this for you, Brad, but I really want to talk about it because I think this bait is sick. It's from Cornerstone Baits. It is the DP 1.5 square bill, and this thing looks awesome.
What is that? Just like a KVD type blank?
It looks like it, yeah. But what's so cool about it is I just hook myself again. Mine, I don't know if you got the same one I did, but mine is basically it's a translucent body that has very light paint on it with a brown top going across the top that kind of morphs with little yellow or chartreuse outlines with a yellow dot. And then the gill plates are actually, let's see
raised.
if I can make, they're raised and painted like a golden brown. Okay. So, I mean, this bait just looks good. On the bill, it has the 1 to 5 feet put on there. That. So I do too. I wish every bait, including all my Mega Bass stuff, would put that on the bill just so I wouldn't have to sit there and look at it, because I have so many that, like, I have the S crank. There's 3 different versions, and 2 of the different versions go different depths, and I have to look at it, and I was like, man, these bills look identical. And then I throw it in 4 foot of water and it dives to 6, and I get stuck on a rock. It just ticks me off.
Yeah.
So, but putting 1 to 5 foot, it's as simple as looking at the bill. Cool, 1 to 5 foot. I'm in 4 foot of water. That's what I want to throw. Bam, done. And, you know, or 1 to 5 foot, I'm in 2 foot or 3 foot of water. I know there's fish here, so I want to rack this thing off every rock I can find. Like, yeah. It's nice. He's got his bait company on the top, Cornerstone Baits. I like little touches like that because it kind of shows you what the bait is. And these hooks are sticky as crap. Which is
they are, man. I want to know what kind of hooks these are.
They look, it's kind of hard to just tell a hook, but from the bent or the way it's soldered together, it looks like a VMC. I could be wrong, but actually it might be a Gamakatsu because the barbs jet off a little bit more than normal. They're almost 90 degrees. Gamakatsus tend to have those, but they are very sticky hooks. Like, these are good hooks.
Oh yeah. I got a different color than you. Like, mine is white. And then down the middle, it has that white line, or not white, yellow line. And then on the top, it's green.
Oh, that's awesome. See, these are like 2 real natural colors, man. These are a tear up. I'm tying that on tonight, and I'm going to be throwing it around.
Yeah, I like this crankbait. This is a cool looking crankbait. It's going in the river box.
There you go.
Oops, let me put that away. I don't want to get stuck.
And that's always for everyone out there. When we say something's going in the river box, it means we like it. Because when we go on the river, we usually only take 2 boxes. Even me, the guy who brings the kitchen sink, I usually only bring a little tiny river box that has a bunch of baits in it. And last year I brought my jig box a lot because I had all my finesse jigs in it, and I would lose a jig occasionally.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's really, we're not bringing a ton of stuff. So if it's going in the river box, it's definitely going to get used, and we have confidence in it before we even fish it. So.
I've been finding, like, lately that I bring my 2 3600 Plano Edge boxes, and there's times where I'm like, I forgot to bring my spinner baits, or dang it, I forgot to bring my leeches or something like that.
Yeah.
I need a binder. Like, I saw somebody posting the kayak bass fishing group a while back. They put their spinner baits in a soft plastic binder. I'm like, I need that because those need to stay on my kayak at all times. There's just no good way to store them. So I need to get one of those soft plastic binders.
I have one around here somewhere. I just gotta find it. My lovely wife did me a solid and cleaned up like my area because I was just letting it get to crap. But I don't know where stuff is. Oh, no, there it is.
Oh, man.
This is made for spinnerbaits.
Oh, that thing's a little bit bigger than I was thinking.
Well, this one's made for spinnerbaits, so it's going to be a little bit larger. I have one that I have my spinnerbaits in. Is actually the soft plastic one, which is smaller than this.
Yeah,
but
that's what I want.
Even when it's full, it's only like that wide, so you can still throw this under your seat and not worry about it because it's definitely not as wide as the seat. So just throw it under there and call it a day.
Yeah, I was just thinking something a little bit more compact so I can throw it behind the seat or in the gadget bag, but whatever. But, we got one more bait in the box, and it's called the Punch Shad by Jawtech. And this thing, it's unique. It's a unique spinnerbait paddle tail, 3.8 inches. I got a cool color. So this is a white base, and then it has like purplish hue with purple specks in it.
That's pretty dope.
What color did you
I
get?
got pearl, which is always a good color.
Yeah. I was going to say this purple speck paddle tail would look really good on this Brazalo spinnerbait that we got in this box. Put those two together. That'd be a good combo. It's unique though. This, like the ribs on this thing, they're not big. They're not like a Kitech or anything. They're more subtle, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They're a lot more subtle. The head shape at the front is almost like a pencil. It comes really kind of sharp. And the body, instead of being cylindrical, is more flat all the way back. Like it's a flat body back to that tail. And then the tail really rounds out to I would say a medium to small paddle tail. Not huge. So it's probably going to give you a lot more subtle action. And for someone like me, like I typically on my spinnerbaits, I do not throw a trailer on them. I just never have. Either. Mostly because I like the compact form of it. But from looking at this with the ribs aren't giant, I know it's not going to really kick out real big. I could definitely see, cutting this down a little bit just to give it a little bit of something. As I use my garden shears to cut down, I found these cut through plastic awesome. So everyone out there who cuts through plastic, go get some Husky garden shears. They work great.
Interesting. I usually just bite them off. And then I regret it because then sometimes I get the power worm. And I'm like, ugh.
You get the power worm, or you do what I do in all my Japanese stuff. I get squid, and I want to throw up every time. And I say I'm never gonna do that again. And then I do it again 10 minutes later. Dude, it's not good. It's disgusting.
You remember that story that when me, you, and Will went to Kaiser, and you're like, "Yep, there's me biting off the head of soft plastic."
Yep.
You made a weird face or something after you spit it out.
Oh yeah, because you had you took a picture, and I was just doing like this. I took a bite, and I was like, as this is flying out of my mouth, I'm just like, I mean, it's nasty. So this is that bait on the back, which now that I've realized I've put upside down, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, I cut a little bit of a section off the top of it, not a whole lot, and it looks good. I mean, it's still compact. I don't really think it's not going to really throw the action off. It's just going to give it a little extra something. And, it might be a little extra something enough to make the fish want to bite. The big thing with me, man, why I hate using trailers is I find that I get a lot of fish like to short strike them.
Yeah.
And that's just, no bueno for me. I don't really want that. So that's why I just don't use trailers. It is what it is. I just don't like using them.
I've never used trailers on a spinnerbait either, but I mean, I've always grown up just throwing a spinnerbait just by itself. And spinnerbait was like a big thing for me growing up too, so I threw it all the time.
Well, spinnerbait was a big thing for all of us that fished with our parents, especially our dads, because they said, "Hey, just keep throwing it." And then we'd stop talking and just throw it.
You can't get snagged with it as easy too. You just cast and reel.
It's another reason why they put it on, because guess what they didn't have to deal with snags. But I mean, when it's on there, like this is how it would be. I don't dislike it, and I would probably throw it because this tail is just small enough to where I think it would give a little action. I would say if I did this, I've got spinnerbait trailer hooks, I'd be putting one on.
Yeah.
Because they're going to short strike the crap out that tail, no matter how short you make it. And I hate short strikes. Short strikes make me want to murder the fish. And they just tick me off. So that's why I typically don't do it. But it looks good. I wouldn't be opposed to doing it as long as I had a trailer on.
There's a lot of people that do it. I know people look at me like I'm crazy when I say it. They're just like, "You don't use trailers on your spinnerbaits?" Like, nope, never have.
Nope. Now, and then there's also, I know people who don't use trailers on their jackhammers, and I think they're psycho.
Yeah, that seems kind of weird to me. I don't know why.
like it's, I won't use a trailer on a spinnerbait, but if you don't put a trailer on your jackhammer, you should give up fishing. because that's
Isn't there a pro that does that? Isn't it Jared Swindle throws one without a trailer?
If Jared Swindle throws one without a trailer, I'm no longer going to throw it with a trailer. He is the messiah of fishing.
There's somebody out there they throw the chatterbait without a trailer, and I was just like, that's weird.
It wouldn't surprise me if Swindle does it because Swindle's weird. He's awesome, and the way I jig fish and have so much confidence in jig fishing is because Swindle. I watched a Bass Bass University like series with Swindle just talking about jigs.
Yep.
And it's just why I throw brown jigs and black jigs.
Yeah,
that's why I throw, because he said if you're not catching fish on the brown jig, you throw the black jig, and if you're not catching fish on the black jig, then you go back and you throw the brown jig again. And I mean, it works. I'm just saying. So
yeah, he's a pro for a reason. I was going to go back over these things real quick. So they got business. They're starting to put business cards in their boxes too now, which is cool. Pride fishing rods, made in America, the finest by Billy Kistler. So I don't know if that's related to Kistler rods or.
I would assume so. I've looked into Pride a little bit.
I've never heard of them.
Not a ton. Like I heard of them at the show we were at. Somebody was talking about them, and I heard it kind of in passing. And I looked at it when we were at the show while I was waiting for my root beer. And
oh yeah,
it looks like they have good rods. Now here's my thing with rods for everyone out there. I will never talk negatively or positively about a rod until I've used it.
Yeah.
And actually used it, not like onto a store and like, oh, this rod is awesome. It's the best rod ever. That's dumb because it could feel really good in your hand and suck. And that's just how it is. So I'm sure the rods are good. Like I've never used Kistler rods. I know a lot of guys love those. I've never used, I used my first Icon rod 6 months ago. Didn't hate it. It's hard for me for rods to ever say anything about it until I've used it.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. So I'm sure they're great rods. I know a couple guys who on like Instagram and YouTube and stuff talked about them, liked them. So not a bad option, but again, never used it. Therefore I don't care. Now Evolve Fishing, I have heard of them. I have never looked at their stuff.
I've never heard of them.
Their business card is awesome.
I was going to say that's a well-designed business card.
It is. What was that? What was that? American Psycho, when they were like talking about business cards, and be like, I got it on 3/4 inch stock. Like, and they're like brokers or lawyers all talking about their business cards. Yeah. This is a well-designed business card, which makes me. I'm one of those people because I'm an Apple fangirl.
We've talked.
I'm one of those people. Yeah, I know. Packaging goes a long way for me.
Yeah.
And that just is what it is. Like for instance, I forgot I even bought these because Stacy. I went out the other day and Stacy moved them down here, and I forgot I had them. But because of our mutual friend, the Creek Crawler, was rocking the Trace over at Dale Hollow.
Oh yeah,
I was at Dick's and I saw them, and the packaging of this is really good. Like this is the box that swim bait comes in. You can kind of see the swim bait. It gives you the information, and the packaging isn't in your face, but it's nice. So I bought them because I was like, that packaging's great, and I know the bait's good. But I mean, it's the same thing with what?
I've never used any 6 cents baits.
I've used their crankbaits. I didn't dislike them. I didn't love them. It would just remind me of like a prettier Guggen. Pretty much. I mean, they make a lot of really cool colors. They make
got like
good baits.
Kind of a bad connotation like Guggen does a little bit?
Yeah, because they're the same bait. Yeah. It's the exact like 6 cents sued them over that. But it's like it looks identical, and they swim weird, but I mean they're not bad. I've caught fish on them. The hooks that come with them are decent. So I'm a fan of some of the stuff they make, and I have the Big Dog, the Draw, which is a 9-inch swim bait. But this comes in a package like this, and it looks good.
Yeah,
it just looks good. So that goes a long way. I mean, at the end of the day, us fishermen are all, we buy stuff, and if it looks good, you're gonna want to buy it. But So there you go. I got 2 of those, and
That's cool.
I
Might
got to
have to
sleep
check one
across.
of those out.
So.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's in black and blue, so money all day long.
All right. Well, that was it for the Darkhorse Tackle unboxing for the month of May. If you want to,
all right, everybody. Thanks for
subscribe,
coming to the show. We're gonna.
if you want to subscribe to the Darkhorse Tackle monthly subscription, use code Paddle20, I believe, and I'll save 20% off your first monthly subscription. Only works with the Weekend Warrior box that we just went over.
Broke down. Yeah,
I know a few guys
it's only
out
your
there.
first month subscription.
Yeah, I know a few guys out there. They did the 3 months prepaid, and they're like, "Oh, the code doesn't work." So it don't work for the prepaid 3 months. You got to get the Weekend Warrior box. So there you go.
Follow the rules. I'm just kidding. But yeah, there you go. It's again, I'm not tired of saying it, but I'm tired of saying it, so I'm probably not gonna say it for a while. But guys, it is definitely worth getting. Especially for $29 a month, you're getting $40 of baits routinely, and they're baits that you A would have never heard of, or B would never have tried. So like that Cornerstone crankbait, sick. People don't know who that is though, but now you do because you got it in the box.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because you remember how I'd always say like, "Oh, my tackle like
I need to up my tackle game. I don't have a lot of tackle."
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I've always only had like 3 or 4 tackle boxes of stuff because I always just bought stuff that I was, could get at the store.
Yeah.
And then when I'd lose that thing, I would hit the store right after I got done fishing. I would buy that thing that I lost.
Yep.
And I never really bought like extra stuff to keep me stocked up. This stuff has been keeping me stocked up. I have a pegboard that's getting full now of just custom baits and stuff. I love it.
Yeah, what's cool, like I back in the day, not even back in the day, like 5 years ago, people would ask like, is the mystery tackle box and lucky tackle box, is it worth it? And then I mean, nothing like this was around. And I was like, I mean, do you have a lot of tackle? Or like, are you just starting? Yeah, I'm just starting. Well, then yeah, I mean it's worth it. You're not getting a lot of baits and you're getting a lot of like poo stuff, but it can build your tackle up so you're not like having to throw the same thing, or you can like try different things to get confidence. This box not only builds your tackle up, but it also gives you high quality products that you can use. Like one box a month, you could take this box and go fish out this box the rest of the month.
Yeah.
Like
Probably
it
the rest of
covers
the year too.
I mean, in all honesty, if you didn't lose anything,
Yeah.
I mean, it covers your soft plastics. You can Texas rig it. You can do a Texas rig swim bait or throw it on the back of a spinner bait. You have a spinner bait. You've got a crankbait. You've got a jig. You've got a trailer for the jig. I mean, it covers like 6 techniques just like that, and you're done. And it's out of one box that's $30, and you get that every month. And every month, it's just like that. It's awesome.
It's nice because I haven't had to go to the store and like restock on stuff because, like I said, I would go and I'd get the Berkeley Chigger Crawl, for example, or something like that. I haven't bought any of those in forever. That used to be my go-to trailer for jigs, but now I got like the Javelins and I got this other jig trailer that we have in here now, and I got a variety of colors for them. I'm like, I'm set, dude. This is awesome.
Yeah, but I'll say there's nothing else you got to do. So yeah, it's definitely worth it, guys. Go out and check them out. So with that being said, let us jump in to the meat and potatoes of the show.
I was gonna say that. I was thinking of food too.
I'm starving, so I'll be honest. I came home from work today, and I was like, you know, what would be great right now. Most people are coming home from work like, yeah, food. I was like, MLB The Show. So I just played baseball on my TV for like 2 hours.
There
so,
you go.
I know it's great, but
I went to the gym.
Well, that's nice. I probably will. I will. I mean, I will be, but it'll be at like 9:30 or 9:45. So, yeah, let's jump into it. We're going to be talking about our use, open, and review of the Newport NK-180.
Heck yeah.
Newport Vessels.
So I've had both Newport and Torpedo, so I can kind of, give a comparison there. What was that? Oh, dude. He busted out the Pringles. Sidebar.
Funny.
Pringles cans, we should start a petition. Their cans suck. They need to make it a long trough where it opens from the top.
Like
Not
Oreos?
where you reach down in. Yes, dude. Or something like that.
I mean, that would be cool.
We need to get them to sponsor our podcast.
So, funny fact. I can't remember what show it was, but it was in December. I'm sure everyone at home who's listening to this is like, I'm really glad he's talking with his mouth full. Guess what? I don't care. So, I brought these down for a show because I hadn't eaten. I remember it was the battery show with Z-Pro.
Oh, yeah.
But I got so into the conversation, I was like, I don't even want to eat. And I couldn't find them. Like, they immediately disappeared on the tackle table. And Stacy was down here last week. She was cleaning, or 2 weeks and a half ago, something like that. And she comes up and she's like, hey, I cleaned down there. Do you want to go look? I was like, yeah, I mean, I really appreciate it and ask you to do that. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. And she was just holds this up. It's like, when did you bring these down here? I was like, oh my God, that was like 2 months ago. And she's like, why do you have them down here? I was like, just in case I need a snack during the podcast.
Well,
And
December was 5 months ago, dude.
They still taste good, so I don't care. And in all honesty, I probably wouldn't care anyway. There's so much preservatives in this. I can eat this in 2028 and it still tastes fine.
Oh yeah.
But she's like, what if people like get upset that you're eating, while you're talking? I was like, babe,
they can not listen.
I don't care. You know what they could do? They could hit, there's a little button on everyone's screen in their cars if it's like relatively new, and it says 30. And you can push the button, and I'm probably not eating that time I'm start talking again. So it's a win-win. So, It is what it is. So now that we're off that, back to the meat and potatoes and the barbecue Pringles sponsored. I'm just kidding. The Newport NK-180. So, and Brad, like you were saying, you've had both. You can really talk to both. I've never had a Torpedo, but I've had an XI3.
Let's talk. Let's start off with the installation, because I met up with you and Cam at your house, and I helped you guys set up your motor. So let's talk a little bit about the installation, what you thought about that process.
So on any boat, and this is not a dig at all at the Bonafide RVR, but on any boat but the RVR, I think I could have done that installation blindfolded with one hand tied behind my back in about 20 to 30 minutes tops.
Yeah.
Really simple, really straightforward. The only reason with the RVR why I'm saying that is because where we decided, which we didn't have to do this, it just made sense, right? There's 2 pillars on the back of the RVR, and that's where we decided to run the tubes for the foot pegs. And I don't have huge hands, but I have big enough hands to where they get in the way of everything. And I couldn't get my fingers up in there to like push it out. I finally got it. And that took, I think, it took me like 10 minutes to get the first one. Once I got the first one, the second one was like a minute.
Yeah.
But other than that, dude, the installation was easy. It was super simple, super easy, straightforward. And there's a video up on I believe the Loveland page of us doing the install and stuff. And it was simple. Like it was super easy. So you can go back and look at that. I think if we would have actually just done it and not like screwed around, we would have had it done in 15, 20 minutes between the two of us.
Yeah. Like you said, the hardest part was running those steering lines through tubes, not lines, but
tubes.
Yeah. Other than that, like with the Bonafide, you got you got the bolts in the back already, right? Remember.
Yeah, so with mine, with the RVR, it didn't have, so if I wouldn't have already put the motor mount on it, it would have taken a little bit longer by like a total of like, I don't know, 6 seconds, but it did come with the bolts already, 1/4 inch by 20, which just about everyone uses 1/4 by 20s.
Yeah.
But with the RVR, how they have the rear end set up, because it's set up for a drag chain, you have to get the Bonafide RVR motor mount.
Oh,
that goes back there.
That sucks.
Which is that black thing that's on there, and it's hard to just like say it just sucks, because I know why they did it that way. Because not everyone's putting a motor on their riverboat. A lot more people, I think, are going to end up using the drag chain instead of a motor back there. So they have it set up for the primary use of a drag chain.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. But you put the motor mount back there, and then it has your standard power pole design, 4 holes that everything mounts to.
Yep.
And yeah, worked out great.
Yeah, that was easy. We did Cam's boat. I think we did Cam's boat in like 30 or 40 minutes. The
I don't think it was that.
SS127, I don't remember exactly, but it was super quick. The SS127 is the easiest kayak I've ever like installed a motor on. Period. Any kind of motor
for everything, bow mount, stern mount.
Yep.
You want to add a motor to the side. You can add a motor, and I mean, people are making motors for the pods. Don't do that. Void your warranty. You're gonna sink. But people are doing it. So like, and that boat is so modular. It's like a Glock. It's awesome.
Yeah, that is a great boat. But
Really
I installed mine on my Shoaly. So I had a couple issues with mine. It took me a couple of days, like, try to get all the kinks and stuff worked out. And then I kept getting new ideas like, oh, I'm going to change it. So the way the bolt pattern is on the back, you can actually drill yourself on the Shoaly.
Yeah.
And there's like a kind of like a rounded 90-degree back there where the very back 2 back bolts, it is a pain in the butt to try to like tighten the bolts down in there. I couldn't even use like the big washers that came with them that go on the bottom. I had to use just the locking washer and the nut. But man, it was a pain in the butt trying to get those to tighten down. It took me half an hour to get those 2 done.
And was it because the bolt was running up against that 90-degree plastic, like just chewing into it?
Yeah,
it
wasn't chewing into it, but it was like it was just tight. It was like a tight fit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
like trying to get your hand up in there to like, I don't know.
I gotcha. No, I'm tracking now. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the same as the RVR, because if they wouldn't have made like that motor mount plate for it and decided to do kind of like what the Shoaly does, there's not a whole lot of room back there to really just run 2 screws or 2 bolts. So I mean I'm happy they did it the way they did it, but I mean you end up getting all the kinks worked out because your Shoaly's like nice to set up.
It is, and the other so. I originally was going to put the battery in the back until I thought more and more about it. I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. Just because you want your hull to be more in plane on the water, you're going to get more speed that way. But I ran my lines through the 8-inch hatch on the back of the Shoaly, and then ran all the way up to the front to my battery in the front hatch. I also cut out the front hatch for anybody wondering out there. I don't have the rod locker. I still have the piece that came out of it, but I cut the rod locker out. But anyway, on the back hatch, I was going to put just like a grommet or something like that. And then I got to thinking more and more about it. And Cam brought his Marinco plugs. I was like, that's a good idea. I need to do that. So I ended up drilling that hole a little bigger. You gave me a Marinco plug. I put that on. So within seconds, I can take the whole motor off. And like if I want to paddle a stretch instead of having the motor on, just take the motor off, unplug it, and I'm good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's ultimately what I'm going to end up doing for the RVR. And it's putting the motor in the back, or in the battery in the back, because I have a 50 amp hour 24 volt, because it is a 24 volt system for everyone out there. I mean it was fine, it did fine. I was still getting like my bow was really sticking out of the water, but I was still getting 4.5 to 4.9 miles an hour. But I do want to spread that weight out a little bit more and put the battery in the front. And I was actually thinking, instead of putting it in the front, putting it right underneath my seat, because it would fit.
You can probably do that.
The joy of lithiums is you can pretty much get them almost submerged and they're fine.
Yeah, because you don't got any way to protect it on the front. There's no hatch.
No, there's no hatch or anything, but typically I don't take water over the front anyway.
Yeah.
And I have the RVR has an accessory plate in the front and the rear. So I already have a Marinco plug. I just need to get another one. I'm probably going to end up putting it in the front just to even weight out. And then do kind of the same thing, because it's, again, you want to have your bow a little bit low, more into the water, so you can get on plane, you get better speed. So I mean, I think I can pick up another half mile an hour, to be honest, than what I had, get up to around 5.25.
I know when I'm
but yeah,
when I'm at 80%, I get around 5 miles an hour. So, which I think Jimmy told us that. He said run your throttle at 5 miles or at 80%, because if you run at 100%, you're killing your battery faster, and you're not getting a much more speed than usual.
And I did a real world after Jimmy told us that, because we were out on Dale Hollow the first day. He had Newports. He's running a Torpedo 1103 now, but it's because he's got a ginormous Hobie, and he got it for free because he's a scumbag.
That thing freaking puts off wake. Good grief!
It's ridiculous. It's stupid. I mean, he almost flipped me. It was annoying. But anyway, I did a real world test. I ran it at 100 for 5 minutes, and I watched my speed, and it was my topped out was 4.8 top out, and that's with the battery in the back and the bow sticking up out the water and looking weird. And then I put it down to 80, and I ran, instead of a 4.7 miles an hour, I ran 4.68 miles an hour. And my voltage, so on the actual motor controller, it's got your amp hours at the top, so amperage, your percentage, and then voltage. My voltage went from like 5 wattage, not voltage, sorry. My watts were at 100%, it was like a 525 to 550. It fluctuated back and forth. At 80%, it was at 480 to like 495. Yeah. So the less watts means you're going to get longer times, which me and Brad never even remotely got close to running out of power.
Nope.
And we covered tons of water. And we were stupid half the time, just going at 80% in circles, making dumb videos and crap.
I think Jimmy said if you run it at 80%, you're going to get like 18 miles on a full charge of 50 amp hour battery.
Yeah, and that's all obviously for everyone out there. That's dependent on the weight of your boat. That's dependent on the weight of the gear you're bringing. If you're 500 pounds, like if you got a Hobie, for example, and you got the battery and everything, and your weight limit on Pro Angler, I want a 14-foot. I want to say is 450 or 500, isn't it?
It's probably somewhere around there.
Let's just say it's 500, and you're at 499 pounds. You ain't getting 18 miles. It just is what it is, because your motor has to work harder to push you. But with what me and Brad bring, even at Dale Hollow, we had way more stuff than we normally bring. Yeah. And I think the longest day we did was that first day, I want to say. And we ran 6 miles down and 6 miles back. And
that was the river day.
No, that wasn't River Day. River Day was only 4 miles down from Eastport. So eight miles that one day. The first day at Mitchell was 6 miles down to all the way back into that area that Jimmy said would be on fire, and nothing happened. And then all the way back up, all the way up. I want to say that was 5 or 6 miles one way. So we ran 12 miles, and my volts were at like 26.1 or 25.9. Like it was up there. Like I could have done another 4 or 5 miles, but I wasn't worried like at all.
Yeah, so. I think he said once you get towards around like 20.5 volts, that's when it starts to, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I never got below 25.7.
Me either.
So I kind of, in all honesty, I want to just go out and just run it in like time.
You could do that. I will say this: like the Newport doesn't have the feature that the Torpedo does. Torpedo has the percentage battery that you use, and it counts down. That's the pro of using the Torpedo system. You use their battery, but also it's a con because you got to use their battery, and it's expensive. Yeah. But the pro with the Newport is you can use whatever battery you want, but at the same time, it can be a con because those batteries are heavier than the Torpedo battery,
But it's also, while it's heavier, and everyone out there can say or can understand this, while it's heavier, if you have a Torpedo, I will get much better. Like I'll get a lot more range than you will. In a 58, like Jimmy even said himself, because like he's like the 1103. He was like, for people who typically you get an 1103, guys who go out and fish all day will bring 2 batteries with them.
Oh, on like a 1103, yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah, I
comparing
mean,
it to a 403. So
well,
the
that's
one I
more
had was a
comparable. So,
yeah.
like the 403, I mean, yeah, definitely it's lighter, but then yeah, you have the cost, like you mentioned it, the cost effectiveness is in there. It is a con at the beginning, but they make, and I was talking to Jimmy, but they make, and I'm about to do it myself. They make little Bluetooth adapters that you just basically do a step in between the terminals, and it Bluetooths to your phone and tells you the percentage of the battery. Like you put it on your terminal, and then you put the power onto the like step between, and it will tell you what percentage your battery's at.
Okay.
So, and a lot of guys do it. They just pull it up on their phone, and it's $12. Like it's super easy and super cheap. So
yeah, you'll have to let me know or send me that link to that because I'm gonna try it too.
yeah, but I'm almost to the point, like I'm not even really thinking about doing it because we went on one of our long floats 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And while the river was moving, okay, but 99% of that we were facing upriver, putting our motors at 80%, fighting the current, fishing spots.
Yeah.
And I didn't get below 26 volts.
Yeah, I didn't either. I got home and I charged my battery and it was done within a couple hours.
Yeah. I didn't even charge it yet because I'm not worried about it. And
Yeah.
also I can't find the other piece. So there's that.
But like I was saying though, the battery for the Newport, it's a pro. You can use your own battery. The con would be the weight of it.
Wait, yeah.
As a Torqeedo, like the whole system's like 16 pounds.
14.
You don't have to get a big 30-pound battery. But the con would be the price. So it's up to you, whatever you want to do. But
which is weird. Like, sidebar, what amp hour are those are the Torqeedo batteries?
I think they're like 900-watt batteries, which I don't know how many amp hours that comes out to be, but I do know that the range on those things are ridiculous. Like you can get 30 miles, like being conservative with the throttle on one charge.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, how can they, so 900 watt hours, well, that's on a 36 volt. This says 25 amp hours. There's no way. There's no way.
What's that?
Okay, here we go. That's 75 amp hours.
The Torqeedo battery?
If it's 900 watt hours, it's 75 amp hours. Yeah,
it's a 900-watt battery.
So that's crazy.
915 watts.
It's a 12 volt, correct?
Yeah.
So that help.
Sorry, I don't know about that.
Okay. I would assume it would be a 12 volt because of the weight. But that's crazy they make that in such a small package.
I know, I don't get it.
That doesn't make any sense to me because if that, I don't know. That's crazy. That is crazy.
German engineering, dude.
I know.
They're crazy.
Germans, they're good for something now. But yeah, so yeah, your pros and cons there are great. What I will say, here's my pros and cons really of using it. One, I'm not a huge fan of, there are screws in the bottom of the controller.
Oh, yeah.
That if you screw them too tight to be super secure, you can't get the full percentage. It will, like, there's a magnet that interferes with the screw, or the screw interferes with the magnet, and it won't let you push the throttle all the way down. So, like, the first day you're out there, it lets you push it, but it won't give you any more.
It'll only let you get up to 50% throttle power.
Yeah. So, like Cam, the first day we were out there, he screwed his screws super tight, and he was going 46%. That's all he could go, and he was like not understanding why. I kept pushing mine down, and I could only get to 81%. And I was like, man, this is weird. I should have just left them where they're at because that was perfect. But I was like, man. And then Jimmy told us, like, oh, yeah, it's the screws. You just got to back them off a little bit, and then you can go. And I did that in 100%. And Cam could finally keep up with us until his battery died.
That was so funny, though. I believe we talked about that on the recap show. If you guys missed it, Cam was like a mile behind us. We all get to this fishing spot. We'd fish it. He would finally catch up to us and be like, all right, we're going the other way. He's like, dude, come on.
Oh, I feel bad for him. But so, I mean, that's a little finicky, and that kind of annoys me. Gunk likes to get into the throttle and makes it real grindy, and like loud. Even I mean, I cleaned it after and it still was it's just in there. So that, I mean, that's kind of a maintenance thing, but at the same time, I don't feel like gunk and stuff could get in it that easy.
Yeah. So mine did that. I took it apart. There's ball bearings that get caught. Have you opened yours up at all?
Not yet, no.
Okay. So there's 4 screws on the bottom. You just take those screws out, and then the metal handle part comes off. And there's a ball bearing that gets stuck in each throttle position. And then you can go in between the holes. Mm-hmm. What I did, because mine was doing the same thing after we got rained on at Dale Hollow, I took some of the Bantam oil from Shimano. I dripped it on that ball bearing. Perfect.
Yeah, it probably just needs lubed. So, I mean, I'll definitely do that too. And then the last con I have are these stupid carabiners that they give you for the lift line and everything else. These are like what Satan would give you in hell to tell you to carabine stuff. They are dumb and stupid and just stupid. It made me mad. It just made me mad. They're dumb.
Trying to take off that lift line carabiner is pain in the butt. Dude, all the other carabiners are fine.
Which I didn't take it off last time we went, and lo and behold, on the way home, my motor's on there, which people do it all the time, but somehow my bungee slipped and my motor was bounced a little bit and my lift line sheared, just cut in half.
Huh.
My knob is on the side of the road somewhere. My little blue knob.
Mine is too.
You lost yours too?
Yeah. I don't know where the knob is. Which sucks because that's the cool thing about Newport. Like, the knobs are nice.
It is, and I emailed Newport about it, and I was like, "Hey, I'll buy one. I don't care, but you don't have it on your website." So, like,
did they reply?
They did on the 8th, so 2 days ago, and they said, "Sorry to hear you're having an issue with your lift line. Can you send a image?" So I did. And
just take a picture of the line. There is no knob.
Yeah. I mean, it is. Yeah, it is what it is. But I mean, I took a picture of it, and hopefully they got it. I probably should follow up on it again. I'm gonna do that later.
Yeah, I need to do that too.
I just I'll buy it. I mean, it could be $10. I'll just buy the knob. Is cool. Like it's clean. Everything. That is one big pro about it. It comes in a box. Everything is super straightforward. What it is. It's easy to put together, and everything looks clean. Kind of like what we just talked about 15 minutes ago about the 6 Sense baits.
Yeah,
the packaging is nice.
Did you end up using the steel cables for the control lines? Because I did.
I didn't. I kind of wish I did. So I use Spectraline, and the negative with Spectraline is it likes to stretch.
Yeah.
And now, has it been a huge issue? No, but I've noticed on Brad with the steel cabling, and it's not just straight steel cable. It's got a like coating around it. Yeah. It likes to move. It will turn better. You get more reactive turning because it's just a cable pulling it instead of having a little bit of stretch in that Spectra cord. But yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, I use the steel cable, and I was just curious. Like, I've heard people say they didn't like the steel cable. I've heard people say they like the steel cable. I personally like it. I've used on the Torpedo. I've used the Spectraline. So I don't know. I can't really tell the difference between the two, honestly, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can think of to why my turning's a little. It's responsive, but. And it could also be I forgot to lube up my rails, so they were clunky and weird and dumb.
Yeah, I need to redo that on mine too.
Yep, and that's one thing for everyone out there. You need to, like, almost every trip or every other trip, spray your rails, your foot peg tracks, spray them out with a dry lube just to keep them lubed up so everything's nice and smooth. Because once I did that, it was a lot better. So I think I just had grit and crap in them,
probably
making it all clunky. But yeah, I mean.
I still need to get some bona fide foot pegs for my Shoaly. I want to upgrade that because the foot pegs on the Shoaly suck. I don't like it. But it kind of sucks because if I do that, then I have to get the steering kit to go with it too, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless I just rig something up where I just drill a hole through the freaking foot peg.
I mean, you could. I just feel like that'd be a lot of tension on one spot.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to tie a knot on the other side because you couldn't like wind it up.
Yep.
I might have some pegs.
Well, if you do, hook a brother up.
I might have some pegs.
I'm gonna say this too. Using both Newport and Torpedo definitely has more power than the Newport.
Yeah.
Just based off of like me going upstream, I've done the same stretch with a Newport. I've done the same stretch with a Torpedo now. And going upstream, it's definitely easier with the Torpedo. I don't know what it is. It just has more power. But I can't hate the Newport. It's doing what it's supposed to do. It's getting me up there without killing myself. So I like it.
I mean, it's definitely, and I've seen like obviously my only other experience with a motor is the XI3, and I could do anything in that thing. But it's stronger than, I know Newports can keep up with XI3s, but I know when I had the XI3 on with other people's motors, I could blow almost everyone away. In the RS, I was going 6 miles an hour. It just flew. I mean, you've seen that when I was at Dale Hollow, I would just fly away from everybody.
Yeah. I will say though, like the XI3 going upstream's kind of sketchy. Not gonna lie.
You can't do heading lock. If you do heading lock, you're gonna die. You have to just be on the control the whole time you're going. You can't really. That's the negative with. So with the Newport, I could get it pretty much angled with either the wind or the current and keep myself pointed where I want to, and I could fish. I mean, I'd have to make little foot adjustments here and there just to stay, with the current moving, because you would kind of flow back and forth.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I could still fish. I mean, I caught that first smallmouth. I was in the current and I was pointing upstream and I was just staying there throwing a spinnerbait. That every fish the rest of that day was doing that. And I mean, it's definitely cool. Foot steering is amazing because you can kind of really just focus on your hands, which is what you use to fish.
Yep.
And just steer with your feet and not worry about nothing. So,
yeah, it is nice. It's truly hands free because, like, if you had foot pedals, you're still taking your hand off the rod and reel to control the rudder.
Yeah. So, that's definitely a pro. I like it. The whole system. I mean, I know Torpedoes are a little bit more powerful. They get a little bit better range. They're lighter for sure. But the big thing for me, and I think a lot of people out there, is the cost.
Yeah.
This Newport is $9.99 is the retail price for the NK-180. They have the NK-300,
which ain't that much more expensive than the.
It's really not. It's $12.99.
Yeah.
And then you get a battery, a lithium. You don't have to get 100 amp hour if you really didn't want to. I know I looked in the group. There's some guys who are rocking like 30 and 40 amp hours and getting 12 miles out of them.
That's
so
not
you
bad.
can, no, not at all. And those are $500. So you're looking at, all in all, if you got the NK-180, $1,500. The 403 or not the 403 goes for what? I think it's $2,200 or $2,300.
It's a lot, man.
It's a lot, and you're getting a little bit more power. Like we said, it gives you more power, but I don't think it's so much more with the 403. Like the 1103, tons. The 403, not a ton. It's some. It is a little bit lighter. The whole Torpedo setup is 16 pounds. The whole Newport, just the motor, is 14 pounds. But your battery adds 15 to 20 pounds to 30 pounds, depending on what size you get.
Yeah. I never did weigh mine. I wonder how much that battery weighs.
The 50 amp hour, 27, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So not terrible. But the cost savings alone, I honestly think sells the Newport for me anyway. I've used it on big water, used it in the river, and it has fit both those needs fine. And I wasn't really at any time saying, man, I wish I had more power to get up this current 10 seconds faster. It's like the people who drive on the highway going 90 miles an hour, and I'm just sitting going 75. And guess what? When I get to my exit, guess who's right in front of me? The idiot going 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, like you just wasted all your gas.
It's the same thing. Like, oh, it's so cool. You got here 5 minutes or 5 seconds before me. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's dumb.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I haven't ever found that I was like wanted more. That's just for me. I really want to try the NK-300.
I do too, but that's 36-volt system.
It is, but you can get a 36-volt lithium-ion battery for around the same price as a 24.
That's not bad.
So I mean, you're paying an extra $300.
Which I think the difference between those two is probably pretty significant too. Like with the NK-300, you're probably like a lot faster, 6 miles an hour probably.
Boot scooting boogie, man. I mean, you're rolling. So,
like I said, I know Jimmy, man, he was waking us with his 1103. I was like, good grief, dude, that thing's crazy.
Yeah, he was cooking. But I mean, it makes sense because the NK-300, what it gives out, it's equivalent to. Oh, I gotta remember. It's gonna bug me. I'll look it up.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Horsepower equivalency.
Oh, it's a 1 horsepower motor.
No, the NK-300 is equivalent to 3.
Oh yeah, I thought you meant that.
Yeah, the NK. No, the 180s. It's 1.2 or something. But I'm a fan of what we've got with the NK-180. I've had nothing really to complain about. And I mean, they're pretty awesome. So
same here. I mean, I've already busted my prop on rocks and crap. Like that float we did a couple weeks ago, Matt would look over. He's like, dude. Oh, Matt. Yeah, which reminds me, I got an error code, which I think it's like a safety feature, like Matt mentioned when we were on the water. I got an error code. The motor wouldn't come back on. He's like, unplug your battery, try it. So I unplugged it from the back, plugged it back in. It worked right away. So it has to be some kind of feature to.
Yeah, I think it was a safety feature built in because that area, that eddy we were fishing right off some riffles, had really big rocks, and Brad kind of was reversing into them, and he kicked it on, did not go all the way into him. And he kicked it on, and all you heard is whoop, and then you went error mode, and I was just like, I was like, what error mode is it? And you said what it was, and I was like, I was thinking, unplug it and plug it back in because Motor Guide does that. If you hit something hard enough, the motor will turn off.
Yeah,
and it's to save the prop and the head. And he was like, just unplugged it, plugged it back in, and it worked completely fine the rest of the day. And he's had no issues since. Yeah. So I think it was a safety thing. I really do, to save the prop and save the head from causing damage.
Yep. But I'm just going to reiterate that point you said earlier with the screws on the bottom of the controller. Guys, don't tighten them too tight if you have them. If you're not getting 100% throttle, back the screws off a little bit. Take the screws out. Put a washer underneath. I've heard people doing that. Mm-hmm. I didn't put screws on mine. I used heavy-duty Velcro, and I Velcroed it right to my mount. So I can just go.
That's actually pretty smart.
Yeah, that's an option too. So if you don't want to use the screws.
I'm going to do that. I'm stealing that. That's a really good idea. What Velcro do you use? Is it 3M waterproof?
It was some kind of Home Depot. I don't know. It's like rated for up to 15 pounds. So you got to you got to rip it off to really get it off.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
It works. It works though.
I'm definitely going to do that. But yeah, do you have anything else?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Well, good, sweet. Yeah. All right. I recommend it.
Oh, for sure. I definitely recommend it. Like I said, the cost savings alone, it's not going to blow out your bank account. And you're going to get 90% of the features that everything else has and be happy with it. It's going to fit every walk of life. And I know you can put it just about on any kayak. I know guys on Hobie or PA14s who have the NK-180 and like it. Bonafide RV or P127s have it and like it. I mean, I've seen guys push John boats with them. So it can definitely do the job. It'll get you going. And I think you'll enjoy it. So definitely a thumbs up recommendation from me as well.
Yep. I'll say 4.5 out of 5 motors for me.
4.2 motors for me. Just because of the
I was just being stupid
carabiners.
Yeah, those carabiners are stupid.
They suck.
The lift line carabiner just needs to be bigger. That's it.
That's literally it. Everything else is perfectly fine. They lock. They're good locking carabiners for being the small ones. Usually those small locking carabiners you can like bend with your thumb. They don't bend. They're cool. But yeah, the one on the lift line, stupid. Just stupid.
Yeah, the
just
mouth needs to be bigger or something.
That's it.
I don't know.
That's it. Or thinner so you can get it around it. That's it.
Yeah.
But that, and maybe use like paracord instead of the lift line stuff they gave so it doesn't break.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just a thought.
That's a good idea too.
But guys, thanks for listening to the end of the episode. As always, if you have any questions or anything, reach out to either one of us on Instagram. Our socials will be down below. Don't forget to use code paddle20 to get 20% off your first month of the Darkhorse Weekender box. And everyone have a good week and tight lines.
Tight lines and smooth paddling. Shout out to Brian Schiller.